So with that being said, we're going to move on from that. Like I told you, we wasn't going to stay too long on that. And we're going to talk about the big story of the day. Like literally, I had to try to figure out how to even go about talking about this. Because again, this is a major developing story that still has a lot of information coming out about this. I don't even have to ask the chat, have y'all heard about this? Everybody has heard about this. This has probably become an international news story by now, especially since it happened in a country that's not connected to the US as far as it being a part of the US. So I'm starting at the beginning with this, like almost like I'm going back and then I'm going forward with this. Even though we already are well aware of what you see on your screen, but I just wanted to, for my own purpose, start right here and then keep it moving. So it says what we know about the 4 Americans kidnapped in Mexico. Now, this is March 7th, 2023, and it's dated in today's the 10th. It says 4 Americans who had traveled to Mexico last week to seek health care got caught in a deadly shootout and were kidnapped by heavily armed men who threw them in the back of a pickup truck, officials from both countries said on Monday. I thought it was interesting how they said healthcare instead of saying exactly what it was. But at the time, I think it was still just a developing story. The 4 were traveling Friday in a white minivan with North Carolina license plates. They came under fire shortly after entering the city of Matamoros from Brownsville at the southernmost tip of Texas near the Gulf Coast, the FBI said in a statement. All 4 Americans were placed in a vehicle and taken from the scene by armed men, the FBI said. The Bureau is offering $50,000 reward for the victim's return and the arrest of the kidnappers. Zalandria Brown of Florence, South Carolina, says she has been in contact with the FBI and local officials after learning that her younger brother, Zindell Brown, is one of the 4 victims. When I found out the victims' names before I even saw their image, I already knew they were Black. Because, like I said, we know our people. When we see certain names, we know who it is. So when I saw their names, I already knew they were Black before I even saw one picture. This is like a bad dream you wish you could wake up from, she said in a phone interview. To see a member of your own family thrown in the back of a truck and dragged, it is unbelievable. And it was crazy to watch that. Like, I'm not going to play the video on here, but in the video, for those who didn't see the raw footage, like literally you see one of them dragging one of the victims across the road, and you can see a blood trail as he's dragging him on the ground, on concrete, on pavement. Zalandria said her brother, who lives in Myrtle Beach, and 2 friends had accompanied a 3rd friend who was going to Mexico for a tummy tuck surgery. A doctor who advertises such surgeries in Matamoros did not answer calls seeking comment. Now, it's been conflicting reports with that. One saying that she was going for a tummy tuck. Another was saying she was going for a BBL. Those are 2 different surgeries as they are located in 2 different parts of the body. So the question is, which was it? Was it the tummy tuck or the BBL? Because they both can't be the same thing. Anthony said the tummy tuck. And the reason, and Black Voltron, to answer your question as far as this is concerned, the reason why they went there is because if this is what she was going for, it's cheaper to get these kind of procedures overseas, specifically in Mexico, compared to the States, which is going to cost maybe double what they would charge her there. And see, what I also heard is that they thought that they were drug smugglers because they saw in cash. Because here's the thing about going overseas, for those of you who are unaware. If you're going overseas for any type of cosmetic procedure, and it could be anything, they want that payment in cash. They want all of that payment in cash. They will not accept it electronically. Because I've seen videos where people have gone to Colombia to go get veneers and they vlog it. They have to pay for it in cash. Opposed to over here, where you can make the down payment in cash and pay the rest electronically because you're using most likely a U.S. owned bank. Opposed to trying to pay electronically overseas, it might take longer for the transaction to go through. Opposed to you handing them cash and them counting it by hand, they have all their money right there. So that's why she had all that cash, because she could not pay electronically. I just had to put that out there because a lot of people don't know that that's the procedure when you're going overseas to pay for a procedure. So let's continue to see what else. Where did I leave off at? This is Brown said the group was extremely close and they all made the trip in part to help split up the driving duties. They were aware of the dangers in Mexico, she added, and her brother expressed some misgivings. Zendel kept saying we shouldn't go down, Brown said. So even they were kind of worried about going down there because they probably heard some things or it may look a little shady. That's why if you're going overseas or anywhere, even in the Caribbean, Dominican Republic, Haiti, wherever, Jamaica, they'll tell you, if you do not know the area, do not leave the resort. I've always heard that. They said if you're going overseas somewhere and you're going to certain places that might have bad spots, do not for any reason leave that resort unless you are there with somebody who knows the area that you can trust. A video posted to social media Friday showed men with assault rifles and tan body armor loading the 4 people into the bed of a white pickup in broad daylight. One was alive and sitting up, but the other seemed either dead or wounded. At least one person appeared to lift his head from the pavement before being dragged to the truck. The scene illustrates the terror that has prevailed for many years in Matamoros, a city dominated by factions of the powerful Gulf drug cartel who often fight among themselves. Amid the violence, thousands of Mexicans have disappeared in Tamaulipas state alone. So even if it's saying right here, even their own have gone missing there. So it would be very easy for a person or people who don't know the area, don't know the land from other places across the world come through there and something will happen to them as well. And the cartels are so thick down there. A lot of parts of Mexico are ran by them. Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador said Monday that there was a confrontation between groups and they were detained without offering details. He originally said the 4 Americans came to Mexico to buy medications. Tamaulipas Chief Prosecutor Irving Barrios told reporters that a Mexican woman died in Friday's shooting. He did not specify whether she was killed in the same gunfight where the kidnapping took place. Now, I briefly heard about that. I think that probably came from the same area because I believe she was near that woman. I believe that woman was near that location. A woman driving Matamoros who asked not to be identified for fear of reprisal says she witnessed what happened to be the shooting and the abduction. The white minivan was hit by another vehicle near an intersection. Then gunfire rang out, the woman said. Another SUV rolled up and several armed men hopped out. All of a sudden, the gunmen, were in front of us, she said. I entered a state of shock. Nobody honked their horn. Nobody moved. Everybody must have been thinking the same thing. If we move, they will see us or they might shoot us. She said the gunman forced a woman who was able to walk into the back of a pickup. Another person was carried to the truck but could still move his head. The other 2 they dragged across the pavement, which is what I was talking about in that video. We don't know if they were alive or dead. Mexican authorities arrived minutes later. Zindell Brown's family asked people to share any relevant information with local authorities. Odell William Brown, his father, said the family is still searching for answers. I don't know which way to go right now, he said. We don't know what's what. Shootouts in Matamoros were so bad on Friday that the U.S. consulate issued an alert about the danger, and local authorities warned people to shelter in place. It was not immediately clear how the abductions may have been connected to that violence. U.S. Ambassador to Mexico Ken Salazar said in a statement Monday that Americans were kidnapped at gunpoint and an innocent Mexican citizen died in the attack. He said various U.S. justice agencies were working with their Mexican counterparts to recover the missing persons. Authorities have provided no other details about the victims. Joe Biden had been informed of the situation. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said Monday she declined to answer other questions, citing privacy concerns. Victims of violence in Matamoros and other large border cities of Tamaulipas often go uncounted because the cartels have a history of taking bodies of their own with them. Local media often avoid reporting on such episodes out of safety concerns, creating an information vacuum. The State Department warns U.S. citizens not to travel to Tamaulipas. However, U.S. citizens who live in Brownsville or elsewhere in Texas frequently cross to visit family, attend medical appointments, or shop. It is also a crossing point for people traveling deeper into Mexico. That's also why you have to know the land. Before you travel anywhere across overseas or anywhere, you have to know the customs in the locations of where you are going. And I thought it was also very interesting that they drove there. I thought it was very interesting that they drove from North Carolina to Mexico. They didn't fly there. And that's most likely because this is a no-fly zone. It's probably not one plane, unless it's a cartel plane, maybe. Well, they might travel by truck, that will fly over in that area. I'm gonna go ahead and end it in that part right there and bring up the next part, which is basically showcasing the four individuals who are right here in this picture, whose names are Shaeed Woodard, Latavia Washington McGee, Eric Williams, and Zindell Brown. Excuse me. And this is the part where it talks about how two of them were killed and two were alive. It says two were killed. The fatal victims were identified as Shaeed Woodard and Zindell Brown. The two survivors, Latavia Washington McGee and Eric Williams, are recovering in a Texas hospital. And look at that. And I just said it. The attack took place in the city of Matamoros in the state of Tamaulipas, which is under a do not travel to advisory on the U.S. Department of State's website due to crime and kidnapping. And I'm willing to bet that was already up on the site before they went there. So, like I said just now in the previous part in the article I read, I bet you it's a no-fly zone. It says that Mexican authorities have arrested one person, with the case 24-year-old man identified only as Jose N., who was allegedly guarding the victims at a wooden house in the Lagunona area outside of Matamoros. And this is one of the victims right here that was found deceased. Only 33, same age as me. And this is the other one. These are the two right here that are dead. These two right here. And her and this guy are the two that are alive. I remember when I was in high school, when it was when spring break was about to kick up, when it was coming, and I knew so many people that would go to Cancun for spring break. Probably not like that today. And you got to think, I was in high school from 03 to 07. Most likely it's not like that at all anymore. And I wouldn't blame them. But it's always been some fishy stuff when people, and especially a lot of black people, go to these Spanish speaking nations, and something weird just seems to always happen. But like someone said in the chat, there's definitely way, way more to this story. Now, the last part I'm going to talk about is definitely calling out the Daily Mail for this rather scathing title that they put in the article when it came to highlighting this situation. And Tariq actually did a stream. I think he did the stream on Instagram and then he uploaded it to YouTube, where he was talking about how mainstream media will criminalize black people even in situations such as these, because they could not wait to bring up their record after this. They were not going to let that just slide, to make it seem like, oh, if they, if this is in their past and their record, then it pretty much lets us know why they were going down there. So let's see what they said. It says, last Friday, a gunman attacked and kidnapped 4 black Americans in Matamoros, Mexico. On Tuesday, 2 of the 4 group members were found dead. One day after that, black people were reminded that we're not actually allowed to be victims. On Wednesday, the Daily Mail published an article that didn't focus on the violent killings of 2 group members or the horrific trauma experienced by the survivors. Instead, the fine folks at the right-wing UK-based tabloid thought it was appropriate to point out in the largest, boldest print possible that all 4 victims had lengthy criminal records, mostly for drug-related infractions. None of them have been charged with violent crimes. So this is actually the picture right here. Let me see if I can open it up in another tab. So here it is right here. This is what the Daily Mail posted on there. It says, revealed criminal past of Mexican kidnap victims. Male survivor sold crack outside school. One of the men killed was busted for drugs manufacturer, and woman was indicted after daughter, age 8, tested positive for methamphetamines. Now look at what they put here. They put under a caption on his picture that says possession. This one, his says made drugs. Her says daughter on drugs, and his says sold crack by the school. And underneath all their pictures in bold, bright, big white letters, victims are all criminals. This reminds me of what happened when Kobe Bryant and his daughter and those people on that helicopter died. And the first thing they want to bring up is the alleged violation case from like 2005 that was proven that he didn't do what he was accused of. And this is the Daily Mail. This is a publication all the way in the UK. They are not here in the States, but they had all of this to publish and say about them. They would never say this if these were 4 white individuals. But they could not wait to go after them 2 in death, 2 still traumatized. And they don't even have all the information. And my thing is, how in the world were you even able to retrieve that information? Where did you get this from? That's what I'm trying to, that's my biggest question right there. How did you even find this stuff out, if it's even true? Because the thing says they weren't even criminally charged with anything that they said. That's my biggest question right there. That's the big question mark that's just hanging in the air for me. How in the world did they find this out? And peep this, y'all. The Daily Mail is the only publication that posted something like this. Like, you can go and look at any other place, and they are the only ones that said this. Not even TMZ posted this. You know, TMZ is a bit shaky. Blueberry Mother said Daily Mail got it from Breitbart. Go figure. Breitbart ain't no better. Breitbart is basically this the Daily Mail of America. Well, one of them. But yeah, like how did they find this stuff out? If it is even true. And I really don't like the stuff that they put on here when they said daughter on drugs. That's basically alluding to the fact that her daughter is a crackhead or a meth head. Shout out to Cyberdime for the 1999 super chat. Exactly, Blueberry Muffin. It's a smear campaign. Stephen Brown says shaky isn't the word for Team Z. You're right. There is another. It's a whole lot of words I could have used instead of shaky for TMZ. But this whole headline is trash. It is. Well, I don't even have to go and read the article for y'all. Y'all can see this for yourself. Like you can see the headline from Daily Mail right here. And a lot of people went in on Daily Mail, and rightfully so, for them for posting up something like this. When was this even posted? What was the date on this thing? I don't even see the date on here. It had to be very recent. Let me see if I can go find when it was posted. March 8th, 2023. 2 days ago. Mind you, it was still stuff coming out about this whole situation.